Welcome to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. I'm Marcel Wiley here.
You should feel good today, bro.
I should?
You should. I wore my most basic suit trying to give you a dub, and you might just have me.
I look sales manager suit, though. I mean, it ain't really like popping off the screen like I like it, but I like you over there.
Thank you,
Swag
brother.
Wars continues up here, but let's get it started in Dallas, where the season is not going as planned for the Cowboys. Dallas is 2-5 and has been outscored 63-13 in their last two games. Mike McCarthy's coaching has been questioned as well in his first season as Dallas's head coach. But yesterday, Jerry Jones said there wasn't a leadership void in the locker room. Jones was asked if he deserves any of the blame for the Cowboys' struggles as the team's general manager and had this to say, Smokey.
How much blame as the GM do you take?
As much as you give me when you're talking about how great the talent is. And I've had the last say on everything since I bought the team in 1989, period.
Racho. Fool, I'm a vet. You can bet. I'm sorry. Do you like Jerry Jones flexing while the Cowboys are struggling? When a little Ice Cube.
Man, Big Bro Sal, I've had some time to think. I've had some time to ponder.
We had the same amount of time, you know.
I love Jerry Jones flexing.
You?
I do. And I have been one of Jerry Jones's biggest critics. But I got to keep it 100 with y'all. That's what I do. That's what we do on this show. Other shows going to lie to you. But we going to keep it 100. Okay. I love this flexing because he's right. Jerry Jones, the general manager, has set the Cowboys up. Marcellus, I've come on this show repeatedly the last 3 months and said the Cowboys have one of the best rosters in football offensively. Yeah. Who orchestrates the roster? Not the head coach. Who orchestrates the roster? Not the offensive coordinator. The general manager orchestrates the roster. Jerry Jones, the general manager, has done a phenomenal job. People are going to be like, Acho, you crazy. Nah, let me talk to you nice. Defensive tackle, Jerry Jones came into the season, 2 first-round picks to defensive tackle, Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe. Defensive end, Jerry Jones came into the season with 2 top-flight defensive ends. Everson Griffin, 13.5 sacks in 2017. DeMarcus Lawrence, 14.5 sacks in 2017. Top in the NFC. Defensive back, Jerry Jones has allotted 3 second- and third-round picks to defensive back since 2017. What else do you want from the defensive side of the ball? Y'all just look at it. He has done everything he could do at cornerback and at defensive line. Yes, safety, there are some voids. Okay, Marcellus, big bro, let's talk about offense. Quarterback, top flight. He tagged him, still there. Zeke, top 5 pick at running back. 3 top flight receivers. First round Amari Cooper. First round CeeDee Lamb. Third round Michael Gallup. What else could Jerry Jones, the general manager, have done? Flex on him, Jerry. Show your muscles. Pop the suit, because as a general manager, Jerry Jones has done a phenomenal job. I'm going to talk about the owner, Jerry Jones, later.
I knew it was a butt statement in there, or
I avoided the butt.
You're going to flip it on his head, because I couldn't believe all the praise you gave Jerry Jones.
As a GM.
Yeah, okay, well, you know what? Jerry Jones, as a person that has the title of owner and GM, I'm going to give him all the praise. And this
both?
Yeah, both. And look, if I were Jerry Jones, I would flex my damn self. Fool, I'm a vet. You can bet I could dance underwater and not get wet. That's Jerry Jones right there. Flex on him, Jerry Jones, but also be frustrated. Right now, if you're Jerry Jones, you feel like there's rain on your wedding right now. Like you planned this big wedding, and it's a destinational wedding where everybody's going to come and see, because you're the Cowboys, and everybody's going to travel to see the Cowboys. Everyone wants to see the star on the side of this helmet. And everyone is expecting greatness. Why? Because greatness starts at the top. And Jerry Jones, a Hall of Fame owner. Remember that when you try to take some shots at him as an owner, he's a Hall of Famer. And I'm not a guy that could take away someone else's success. You can't strip someone of their accolades. Once you accomplish, it is in the bank. And what has Jerry Jones accomplished as an owner? We all know that he has the 3 championships, and only 2 franchises out there have more championships than the Dallas Cowboys. So unless your name is Eddie DeBartolo, and I know your names both start with an E, but your name ain't Eddie DeBartolo, unless your name is Robert Kraft, Art Rooney Sr., or whoever runs the damn Green Bay Packers, nobody who walked this planet can flex on Jerry Jones in terms of accomplishment, in terms of championships as being an owner. But now let's look at him in terms of why he's frustrated. And I can see why he's frustrated. He was out there planning something that was going to be so spectacular, and all he needed was a coach, a championship coach, a coach who could stand through the adversity. As Jerry Jones says, I got the right guy because in case it, which is not it, hits the fan, wanted someone who could stand in the face of adversity with credibility, and I don't even know if this is a word, doability. But that's who Mike McCarthy is. But why is he frustrated right now? Because he brings in a Mike McCarthy, but there's no offseason, no on-field sessions, no training camp, no preseason, loses his starting quarterback and his second-string quarterback, injuries to his strongest unit, the offensive line, which was the real staple of this team. They are now on their 10th offensive lineman combination right now. So the injuries, everything has upended it, and it started to rain on Jerry Jones's wedding.
Big bro, I'm going to give you the GM, Jerry Jones. I told you I was going to give you that.
That was the owner.
No. The owner, Jerry Jones, is not getting absolved of all the Cowboys' woes because the owner, Jerry Jones, is who put the Cowboys in this predicament. General manager, Jerry Jones.
Okay.
Owner Jerry Jones, it ain't nothing but booze and get off my stage. Remember the Apollo when they would come out with the broom and they would just and they would come out with the broom and just sweep them off stage?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with the owner. Here's why. He went to the grocery store, the general manager, and he bought all the ingredients. Okay. And Marcellus, he went to Whole Foods. He went to Trader Joe's.
He spent that money.
He spent that money. Yeah. He didn't go to, them grocery stores I got to go to because I'm on a budget. What? He went to them grocery stores that big dog Marcellus Wiley shop at because he got all them contracts. He bought the nicest ingredients. Ezekiel Elliott gave him that money. DeMarcus Lawrence led the league in sacks, NFC in sacks, gave him that money. Oh, CeeDee Lamb? Yes, let me get a little bit of CeeDee Lamb, please. But here's a problem, Marcellus.
What?
He hired a head chef at a fast food chain. And I'm not talking in and out.
I'm about to say, if it's in and out, you can stay.
I'm not talking in and out.
Oh,
he hired the head chef at a fast food chain. Head chef came in, Mike McCarthy. He came in and he saw all these ingredients and he didn't know what to do with them. See, the owner, Jerry Jones, put a piece in place that undermined all the ingredients that general manager Jerry Jones bought. And that is why the owner, Jerry Jones, has no right to flex. How can you go out there, Marcellus, get all these wonderful pieces, all these amazing pieces defensively, offensively, but then go out there and get a chef, a head chef from Mickey D's. Ain't nothing wrong with Mickey D's now, okay? Them double quarter pounders with cheese got me through middle school.
The double, though.
Them double,
Not just the regular one.
They got me through middle school.
Right.
But you can't use that head chef in Mike McCarthy because that is the problem that owner Jerry Jones did. Owner Jerry Jones made the mistake starting with the sleepover with the head coach. Owner Jerry...
Stop bringing that up.
It was a sleepover. Hey. It was a sleepover, okay? It was a sleepover.
Saving some money because all this money we spending on these players that
Jerry Jones, put him in a condo, okay? No. How things start is how things end, okay, with Mike McCarthy going to sleep. Now let's talk about it. Owner Jerry Jones does that. Owner Jerry Jones allows for Mike Nolan to be the defensive coordinator. Mike Nolan, terrible defensive coordinator. Owner Jerry Jones retains Kellen Moore as the OC, but then has Kellen Moore calling the plays. Make sense. There's a tug of war. You're bringing a new head coach who's notorious for being a decent play caller, an offensive mind, an offensive guru, but you got your 31, 32-year-old offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore calling the plays. Owner Jerry Jones has undermined all the success that general manager Jerry Jones has built up.
Owner Jerry Jones didn't make a mistake. The only thing I can give you in your point is that Mike McCarthy is off to a slow start. Slower than he was.
Decrepitly slow.
The slower than he was when he was in Green Bay, and that slow start. But you got to understand what this situation really is. And let me break it down for you, big dog. Because I don't think you're understanding the long game right now. You keep talking about everything that's happening in the now and not thinking how this could potentially set up the future. You ready for this?
What?
Okay. What's the Super Bowl preview right now if most people had their way, it seems like, by team success?
I'm going to say Tampa, Kansas City.
Tampa, Kansas City, Pittsburgh is undefeated, so you got to say Pittsburgh as well. Tampa last year. Were they a winning team? No. 7-9.
Tampa, okay.
Oh, look at your face.
I thought you said Kansas City.
For these
I thought you said Kansas City. Go ahead.
You are hype right now.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead,
and speaking of mistakes, a double quarter pounder is actually a half pounder. Like, okay, all right, let me stop. Why McDonald's gonna change that? All right, here's the thing. Tampa Bay, were they a winning team? No. How did they start last year? 2-4.
Terribly. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. And the same coach. Interesting. Some parallels, commonalities. Pittsburgh, were they a winning team last year? No, they were 8-8, but not a winning team. Quarterback got knocked out. Oh, I wonder if that's a parallel to what's happening in Dallas. How did they start off last year? 2-4. Oh, my God. It's raining on my wedding right now, but the key ingredient to success is not talent, brother. It's perseverance.
Oh, my
if
God.
you're Jerry Jones, you persevere with Mike McCarthy. Why do you persevere with Mike McCarthy? Because before, when he was faced with adversity, a 4-12 roster in Green Bay turned that to 8-8. 13-3 the next year. A couple years later, they won the Super Bowl. So if you're Jerry Jones, I don't give a damn who's in there cooking. Oh, you know why? It doesn't matter. I have talent. I have a Super Bowl coach. You want to sit there and say, what restaurant did he used to cook at? Where's he come from? Mike McCarthy has been there. As Jerry Jones even said, he has the credibility, the resume, and the doability.
Marcellus, here's your issue, my brother.
It's no issue.
Perseverance at times, it can be a trait worthy of admiration.
Don't do that to the kids that are looking up to us.
At times it can be.
All times.
But here's the other thing. At other times, it's loser talk. Marcellus, perseverance in relationships can be loser speech. I promise I'll change.
Who you with?
I promise I'll change.
Tell 'em on yourself.
I just made the mistake once. I promise it won't be the same tomorrow. That's what Cowboys fans have been doing for 25 years. How much longer do you want them to have to persevere? Jason Garrett, I promise I'll change. I promise I won't be 8-8 Jason Garrett again.
Oh, my God.
Until 2019. 8-8, get him up out of here. Mike McCarthy, I promise I'll change. I promise the defense will turn around.
Wait a minute.
I promise that what you saw against the Browns, you won't see against the Giants. Oh, we saw it again. What you saw against the Giants, you won't see it against the Cardinals. Oh, you saw it again. I promise I'll change. Marcellus, stop telling Cowboys fans, Cowboys players, the Cowboys organization, stop telling them to be content with this complacency.
Hold on.
Stop telling them to be complacent.
You keep forgetting. Look, I'm a married man, and I'm not going to say anything about my wife. I'm going to talk about marriage, the institution. Let's just say my wife married a better-looking version of me when she married me, right? You want to see my wedding day pictures versus this dude right here? It was better then. But guess what? You don't take away that greatness, and I was great. You don't take that away because now look at me. And you can't take away the Cowboys' success in 3 Super Bowl championships under their Hall of Fame owner just because now you're looking at them like they're struggling. This is where perseverance comes in. Let me give it to you, brother.
Go ahead.
With their QB1, who's not playing right now, they had 3 losses with their QB1. Let's talk about those losses since you want to talk so much about them. They lost to the Cleveland Browns, right? That's a 2-loss team. 5-2, that's a good team. So they lost to them with their QB1. They got beat down with their QB1, even though there was an epic comeback almost. The Rams, they lost. Close game to the Rams. First game of the year. Rams only lost 2 games. Seattle, oh, my God, almost won that game. Last play, last second almost. 1-loss team. You look at this, combine it with the fact that now we're looking at Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh this year, Super Bowl preview, when last year they weren't winning teams. This is what Jerry Jones is dealing with. He's dealing with a situation and circumstances that nobody else is dealing with, and it's still going to persevere.
I care about you too much. I care about you too much to let you draw a parallel between you and the Cowboys or you and Mike McCarthy. Marcellus, here's the difference.
I don't have a championship ring.
You've shown signs of life in changing. You talked about your wife, who she married, is not the same you she got now. When I came on this show, you were about 20 pounds heavier. You were a little sloppy. The suits were a little too tight. I came on the show on our pictures, our billboard pictures. You looked a little rough around the edges.
I didn't look anything little.
I said, is this the same Marcellus, America? This ain't the Marcellus I was seeing before COVID. But now, I look at Marcellus, jacket fits a little bit better.
Does it fit better?
I look at the arms, it fit a little bit better. Marcellus, the cheeks, they're a little bit tighter. I ain't gonna judge you, but you know, it looked like you was eating a Cheeto in your mouth when I first came on set, Marcellus. You have shown me signs of life.
Yes.
The Cowboys, they haven't even shown me a sign of life. The defense, it don't look no better. You gave up 38 against the Seahawks. Oh, you gave up 49 against the Browns. Oh, you gave up 34 against the Giants. Oh, you gave up 38 against the Cardinals. It doesn't look better. If they would just show me the same signs of life that you have shown me, then I'd be like, I'm all in. But I haven't seen life from the Cowboys. I've seen life from you. I'm sure your lovely wife has seen life from you. Just show me a sign of life. Show me that you will change. Don't tell me that you want to.
Okay, first of all, you hit me where it feels so good. I look so good, I might get divorced. Let me stop. Look, the signs of life have to come when it matters most. And for the Cowboys, they can't even think playoffs, despite them having the same amount of wins as a division-leading team, who they also play this week.
That's true.
So when you want to see a sign of life, it has to make a difference and it has to matter. Guess what? This week, I guarantee you lost the first bet. I guarantee.
I owe you. America, I owe this man.
You owe me.
I lost the bet. I ain't paid up yet.
Yeah, but since I'm keeping it slim up here right now, we gonna bet. I guarantee the Cowboys finally. Who's the quarterback again? Never mind. We ain't betting on this. But the point is, they're on the third quarterback with their QB1. You will see the Cowboys show that sign of life. It's unfortunate they're in this position, but trust me, big dog. I look good. All right, coming up at the top of the hour, Cowboys have a huge matchup with the Eagles on Sunday. You threw me for a loop. We'll tell you which team has more to prove, but first, Lamar Jackson's passing numbers have been on the decline this season. Really? We'll tell you if the shine has worn off the reigning MVP. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by a slimmer version of me, Monday.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Lamar Jackson's Ravens, they've had an impressive 5-1 record, but despite the good start, Lamar's passing numbers have been under the microscope. The Ravens star has thrown fewer touchdowns and passing yards through the first 6 games than during his MVP season last year.
Unanimous.
So Marcellus,
Unanimous.
let's talk about it.
Unanimous.
Has the shine worn off? The nice shine.
The shine?
Has it worn off of Lamar Jackson this season?
No, it has not worn off. And I don't expect a debate on this one. I'm not from anyone with intelligence, and you have intelligence. So I expect us to agree on this one and put some respect on his name, the same way you didn't put respect on Jerry Jones's name, you know, Hall of Fame owner Jerry Jones that you took slights at. This is a MVP, unanimous MVP, only been 2 in NFL history, and we're talking about 1. But no, the shine is not worn off on Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about what's really happening, the dynamic, the mental dynamic that's occurring. Imagine yourself just lying there in the dark, and then someone...
Am I asleep?
No, you just woke up.
Why am I lying in the dark?
You don't meditate? You don't think? Damn. You don't...
I mean, I close my eyes. It doesn't mean I'm lying in the dark.
Let's do that. You're lying in the dark. Your eyes are closed.
The lights are on. My eyes are closed.
No, your lights are not on. I'm like, walk with me now.
Fine.
Damn, your lights come on as soon as you open your eyes.
I'm lying in the dark.
Where you live?
I'm in the dark.
It's in the dark. And then someone, your eyes open, turns the lights on. And you look. And then you got to close your eyes again. You know why? Because those lights are pretty bright, right? You can't see in that moment right there. It's blinding how
it's blurry, yes.
Yes.
Blurry.
And what was blurry last year? Lamar Jackson on that football field.
Okay.
But what happens after that? All of a sudden, you don't have to dim the lights. Your eyes adjust to the same light intensity. And then next thing you know, you're sitting there looking at something as bright as it was last year, but now you're used to it. And I'll show you are guilty of this. I can tell by your expression and reaction.
I like this take.
The light has not gotten dimmer. You just got adjusted to it. The same guy who comes up here in the NBA Finals and tells me, oh, LeBron James, when he goes out there and scores a triple-double, it's just another Wednesday. But when Jimmy Butler does it, hip, hip, hooray. The same thing is happening right now in terms of Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about the numbers because the rhetoric... I think my rhetoric already persuaded you. You're on my side. But let's see the numbers and never slip, never fall when you're talking about Lamar Jackson. This is in comparison to himself, which was a unanimous MVP last year. Whoa, a better passer rating this year? Did someone dim the lights or not? No, they didn't. A better touchdown to interception ratio this year? Did someone dim the lights? Better touchdown percentage, rushing average? Oh, my goodness. And is winning at a better clip. Lamar Jackson, in summation, is just one off of his pace from last year in touchdowns, 3 fewer in interceptions, and 1 more game won. You talk about the shine is off, the lights are dimmer. Oh, no, brother, we all just adjusted. I want to take.
That was a really good take, my dog.
I thought about it in the dark.
That was good. You're wrong.
I'm wrong?
You're wrong. I know you're wrong. Because you've told me before. Marcellus.
You're a snitch.
No.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
I'm just being real.
Oh,
America,
okay.
Can I keep it a buck with you?
Can I grab my phone and keep a buck with you?
Sal,
what?
You told me, Emmanuel Acho, that I drive a crusty Bentley.
Yeah, and the Benz, too. I seen that.
You said I drive a crusty Bentley.
Dusty more than
America,
crusty.
he said I drive a crusty Bentley. The average Bentley convertible, Marcellus, is roughly $206,000.
Yeah.
But I drive a crusty one.
Yeah, you do.
Why do I drive a crusty one? Not because Bentleys aren't nice, but because to Marcellus, an older Bentley is now crusty. Not that the Bentley's not nice, but it became crusty because we've seen them before. Lamar Jackson, I'm not saying he's not nice. I'm saying Lamar Jackson is still a Bentley. He still is. But if Marcellus can say that an older Bentley is a crusty Bentley because we've seen Bentleys before, then I submit that Lamar Jackson, the same Lamar Jackson, is still a Bentley, but he can be a little dusty. Marcellus, let's talk about the numbers, bro. Last year, through week 7, Lamar Jackson, he had the number 2 ranked offense. Now, he has the number 27th ranked offense. I'm not going to say Lamar ain't a Bentley. I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to say it's a little bit dusty. Last year, Lamar Jackson, through week 7, I believe he averaged 250 or so yards a game, 235. Right now, he's in the high hundreds. I'm not going to say Lamar's not a Bentley, but he's just a little dusty. Last year, Lamar Jackson averaged 80 yards rushing a game. Right now, he's at about 65. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not a Bentley. But in the wise words of Marcellus Wiley, maybe Lamar Jackson just a little bit dusty.
No, you got this wrong, even though I can see how you got this misconstrued. Your Bentley is nice. You just need to spend $206,020 and get it washed every now and then. You say I caught you slipping. That's all you got to do. If you look at Lamar Jackson, you don't even need to say we got to do anything different. All you got to do is say, maybe you need to wash over this team just a little bit, and that's what they're in the process of doing. Their goals haven't changed. Their approach to their goals have changed for various reasons. One, Marshall Yanda. You remember him? 8-time Pro Bowler. Where is he right now?
Retired, correct?
Oh, he retired. Yeah, that kind of hurts. The run blocking last year was number 3. This year it drops to 12. Okay, I give you that point. But the pass blocking was number 1 last year. It's still number 2 this year. So what's happening really is the rush attempts by Lamar Jackson, 3 fewer this year. Why? One, we're going to preserve you because these regular season games, we kind of going to get through these. Why? We have the number 1 point differential in the NFL, one of the key indicators of how good a team really is. They still have the number 1 rush offense. So, number 1 rush offense, what Lamar Jackson kind of chilling, like foot off the dusty Bentley gas a little bit, right? And now, I don't know if you've been here long enough through the pandemic. Have you been to Runyon Canyon yet?
Yeah.
I went 2 weeks ago. Quarantine like a mug. I
was wearing a mask.
Okay.
I got these workouts in. These suits not gonna fit themselves.
Okay.
You feel me?
Okay. I want to break it down. Mine either. I want to break it down for you. When you first go to Runyon Canyon, you do what everyone else does. You go to path. That is just traditional path.
All day.
All the concrete, right? And then after about 10 times up there, somebody jumps out the bushes at you, and you're like, where'd they come from? Oh, there are more paths to the top. And you start to realize through this process, we can have the same goal, make the suit look like it looks, but I can get there a different way. This team is now internally constructed slightly different. A little washing of this team to change their course.
I like that.
That's all they're doing right now.
I like that. I'm not going to knock that because I have here is, can you maintain collective success while losing individual success? I think that's what Lamar Jackson is doing.
Bingo.
They are maintaining collective success while losing individual success. Talk about Patrick Mahomes. 2 years ago, he threw 50 touchdown passes. Dude did not throw 50 touchdown passes the next year, and this year he's not going to throw 50 more than likely. But the team is maintaining collective success. Lamar Jackson, the team's maintaining collective success. He is, however, losing his individual success. But to get to the question, Marcellus, I think about the shine. I think about, like, we don't perceive Lamar the same because we've seen him before do this crazy things. Your birthday's coming up here in a month and change.
Yours too?
Mine too.
Okay.
But what'd you get for your birthday last year? Do you remember?
No. Damn, I'm bad. CTE.
My dog don't remember. Now, at the time, I thought it. Well, you probably thought it was spectacular.
Yeah.
You probably thought it was special. But less than a year later, you don't even remember what you got for your own birthday.
Damn.
So it's been a year. When we first saw Lamar, it was spectacular.
Right.
It was special. But about a year later, we don't really remember the same Lamar because there's a shiny new Aaron Rodgers balling again, a shiny new Tom Brady in a new organization, a shiny new let Russ cook moment.
Right.
Lamar Jackson has lost the shine. It don't mean the Ravens have lost success. They are one loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. But Lamar Jackson individually, as I look at him, I'm like, okay, it's not the same. Oh, my God, Lamar Jackson I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, but I think that's on us. It's on our reception, how we're bored of his same success. It doesn't look the same. Like a highlight from last year was the Cincinnati Bengal game when you saw Lamar Jackson spinning out of control, reverse clockwise, etc. And now when you see Lamar Jackson have spectacular plays, you already walk into that moment with an expectation. Last year, I was so enamored with him that when he came to L.A., I went to see him. I was at the Coliseum watching him play against the Rams. And this year, pandemic, obviously, but if there were no pandemic, I wouldn't go out my way to see it because I already touched it. All right, went to that Michael Jackson concert. I don't need to go again. I know what's going to happen. He's going to be great. He's going to be successful, and the team is going to win. But this is one of those teams that have set their sight on playoff success.
That's real.
They want to just get in there with the best seed possible, kind of like a LeBron James mindset. This regular season, I'm going to try a little bit, but you know when it counts, we have to be ready for that moment. I think that's what they're faking.
For there to be more shine, in my opinion, for Lamar Jackson, I got to see him do something, Marcellus, we haven't seen before. If my Bentley is dusty, if my Bentley is crusty, maybe I should change something up, spice it up a little bit. Maybe you get a new paint job on the joint. Maybe I should add some rims. They say don't add rims to a Bentley because it's classy, but let Marcellus tell it. Marcellus has to see something he hasn't seen before. So, Lamar, I got to see something that I ain't seen before. I need to see a playoff win and hopefully a Super Bowl win, and that shine going to be right back. Coming up,
I'm with him.
Safety Eric Reid turned down an offer to get back in the NFL. I'm going to tell you why that's a terrible look. He didn't join Washington's practice squad when they offered him a job. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about Eric Reid. The safety declined an offer to join Washington's practice squad, saying, quote, I just don't think playing on the practice squad is reflective or indicative of my career. Played with the Panthers last season, but has received just one offer in 2020. Reid joined Colin Kaepernick in protest during the national anthem back in 2016. In September, Kaepernick said the NFL was keeping Reid out of the league, tweeting, while the NFL runs propaganda about how they care about black life, they are still actively blackballing Eric Reid for fighting for the black community. Eric set 2 franchise records last year and is one of the best defensive players in the league. So, Acho, is it a bad look? Reid declined Washington's offer.
My dog.
Spicy.
It's a terrible look.
Terrible look.
Bad is an understatement. It's a terrible look for Eric Reid to decline Washington's offer. Let me preface with, in the NFL, you have egos. Eric Reid has accomplished a lot in the NFL, a whole lot. I believe he's made a Pro Bowl, former first-round pick. Like, dude has been a top-flight safety in his career. But I have to remind everyone, the market dictates your value.
Yes.
It is a terrible look because sometimes, Marcellus, we only give attention to certain parts of the story and not others.
Okay.
And let's just paint the full picture. We can't have Colin Kaepernick come out and say that Eric Reid is being blackballed, not being given an opportunity to get a job. But then he quite literally gets offered a job and he turns it down because it's not the job he wants. There have been more talented players except lesser. Let me bring up Dez Bryant. If the Cowboys would have won a couple Super Bowls, he'd be a Hall of Famer. Okay, he's not. But he's also the Cowboys' all-time touchdown reception leader. We'll probably go in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. He just signed a practice squad deal yesterday with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about a name y'all might not know, Brandon Carr. Drafted in 2008, started every single game since 2008, 192 consecutive starts. He started the season on practice squad. Let's talk about Cam Newton, a name everybody knows. He's the 32nd highest paid quarterback, a former NFL MVP. The market dictates your value if you want to play in the NFL. then you got to take what they're willing to give you. And if you're not going to take what they're willing to give you, then at least let's tell the totality of the narrative. We can't have statements like you're being blackballed. You can't have your homies make statements like you're being blackballed. You can't have news outlets make statements like you're being blackballed, because people will begin to believe it. The fact of the matter is, Eric Reid was offered a job. It might not have been the job you wanted, but it was a job you were given. I think it's a terrible look to reject an opportunity in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little off that fastball, even though I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to say it's not a bad look and it's not a good look.
Okay.
So I feel myself a little fence riding on this one because of experience. Now, everything you said is deadly accurate and true. In terms of who Eric Reid is, it's this seesaw effect of who you think you are and what the market and the teams think you are. Now, Eric Reid can sit out there and say, oh, last year, I was balling out of control, as Kaepernick wanted to testify for him as well. But we have to remind ourselves that he was on the 23rd ranked defense last season that allowed the second most points in the NFL, which means you could be doing good in a bad situation, which makes most people look at you and evaluate, say, how good are you? Because the situation and the team was so bad. Let's see who he was in terms of ranking. Out of 71 safeties, Eric Reid was ranked 69th out of 71 safeties in 2019. Yuck. Has not made a Pro Bowl since 2013. Okay, so I understand why you still have visions of grandeur in terms of your ability, because you balled in your world last year. But in reality, in totality, they're ranking you much lesser than you want to be ranked. So it's hard to get that ego back in the bottle. It's hard to just get all of what you've accomplished back in the bottle, humble yourself, and now be in a position where you're a practice squad player. What retires players in the NFL is that ego mostly. Physically, you still can go out there and do it. Look, I was a 10-year veteran who had opportunities after that 10th year. And let me tell you what the egos told me. Hey, man, they treat you a lot different now than they did when you were on top of the mountain. And your ego is like, what? Players looking at you like they want you to be the one who goes and gets their helmet, go get their water, whatever it may be. And practice squad makes him, Eric Reid, think they're going to think less of me, ask me to be the do-boy on the team. That's not happening. So I can understand where his ego is. What retires you is I'd rather do nothing than go out there and be humble to that degree. And I feel Eric Reid is caught between having some success, but not enough success to earn the title that he desires.
And I'm with you. Like, I don't have an issue with rejecting the job. I have an issue with rejecting the job when the narrative has been painted that jobs aren't being offered.
Oh, okay.
That's where I have an issue.
Okay. I
have an issue with Marcellus, society right now is so divisive as it is that we just have to paint legitimate and full pictures.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue rejecting a job. My experience is my expertise. 2014, 2013, the Eagles trade for me from the Cleveland Browns. I make the team the first day on Saturday, final cuts, I make the team. Monday, I'm getting a fresh fade because we have a Sunday night game. I get a call from the general manager, Howie Roseman. Acho, we got to let you go. Dang. I get a call instantly from the New York Giants. They want to put me on practice squad. I hit up my agent. I say, hey, I just made a team. I'm not going to nobody's practice squad. What you mean? I'm a better player than a practice squad player. My agent said, well, do you have any other offers? I said, man, no. He said, well, then, it looks like you're joining their practice squad. Yeah. I went to the Giants practice squad, and I was on an active roster 5 weeks later. Practice squad is not a period. Practice squad is a comma. Yep. It is not the end. It is a means to an end. I have an issue, Marcellus, if we're going to paint a picture that the man is holding some people down, which, in my opinion, it is in some situations. We just got to paint a real picture because otherwise we're going to continue to perpetuate a divisive society. We're going to continue to perpetuate a divisive NFL. The NFL is the most divisive it's been since I've known it. And that's where my issue lies.
And I'm with you now on that part, that slice, that sliver. Let's talk about that. Where's your ego now versus where it's been throughout your entire career if you're Eric Reid? Like, if someone offered you just an opportunity to be on a practice squad in the beginning of your career, you take it because beggars can't be choosy. You just want an opportunity, a shot. But now when you feel like you have all of this equity, you've afforded yourself some privilege, then now you start looking at it like a luxury more than a necessity in terms of opportunity. And what do they say about luxury? It's the home home of complaints because when you have so many choices, all of a sudden you get a little higher than the ground. You get a little higher on the horse. You start saying, I'm above that. And that's what Eric Reid is doing right now. Look, I don't like Eric Reid, the person. He knows that too, but since I'm not a fighter, he has nothing to do with me. Like, we ain't gonna beef this out. We ain't gonna scrap over this. But I like what he stands for. I just don't like how he goes about it. You're in a world right now where Earl Thomas doesn't have a job. If Earl Thomas ain't got a damn job, what are you talking about? You better jump yourself on the practice squad, except the ego can't accept that right now. And I think that's what's tough about him. And for Colin Kaepernick to say that he's being blackballed, not at all. It's a situation where he has been confrontational. He literally walked to midfield and had a scrap with a guy over policy, over a program, over $90 million committed to his cause. So I get the black power fist, but couldn't you loosen it up a little bit and be a better teammate? That's what I think the message is being sent to him. Joined now by Fox NFL analyst LeVar Arrington. So, LeVar, is it a bad look Reid declined Washington's offer?
It's a bad look based off of the reasoning. And I think I'll echo what you guys have already been touching on. If you're going to decline it because you feel like, for whatever that reason is, you do not want to accept the offer to that team, then decline it, right? But to put it out there and for public consumption, knowing what you're attached to, it's a bad look because once you put something like that out there, it's going to be left up to interpretation. And everybody's going to interpret it the same way, which is they're going to associate it just like we did with what Kaepernick said about him being blackballed out of the league to begin with. So it's a bad look because even if you did not want to go to the Washington football team based upon these reasons, guys, you don't put that out there because you already know what's connected to what you have stood for in terms of things that you brought as peaceful protests and beliefs to the workplace. So now you're sending out a signal to every other team that you may want to go play on their active roster, and you're not taking into consideration the damage that a statement like that could be considered to be. Because you look at somebody like Antonio Bryant, who just got Daz Bryant, who just got picked up on the practice squad of the Baltimore Ravens. And the coach is already saying that they're going to play him. They're going to use him. So if you're as good as you know you are, you think you are, you have been, it shouldn't really be a problem. We're in COVID, guys. So just take an unconventional route in an unconventional time.
Correct. I'm with you right there. Let me put the people at home on game. Sometimes in the NFL, you don't necessarily deserve to be on a team, but you got a life raft. And that life raft is typically a head coach, maybe a defensive coordinator, maybe a D-line coach if he has enough power. It's the person who makes sure you stay in the league. When I got released by the Philadelphia Eagles, I got a call from Billy Davis. He was my defensive coordinator in Philly. He took me from Cleveland to Philly with him. All he said was, Acho, your ace in the hole is out the league. He had left the NFL and gone to Ohio State. What is my point? Eric Reid, the guy who drafted him, Jim Harbaugh, he coaches at Michigan. He's not in the league anymore. Okay, Chip Kelly, he also played for him. He coaches at UCLA. He's not in the NFL anymore. Okay, Jim Tomsula, he also was Eric Reid's head coach. He's a Dallas Cowboys defensive line coach right now. He ain't got no power. But who has power to get Eric Reid a job? Who was his head coach last year? Riverboat Ron Rivera, the head coach for the Washington football team, the same football team that just offered Eric Reid a job. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. Ron Rivera is trying to feed you. You can't bite that hand and then let it be perpetuated that the NFL is blackballing you. That's just not how this is going to work. That's only going to perpetuate a problem and not be a part of a solution.
Yeah, you know what's interesting?
Go ahead, big dog. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what is acceptable, guys? Is being a backup acceptable? You brought Kyle Allen in. You didn't bring him in as a starter. You brought him in as a backup. Is that acceptable? If he ends up being on special teams, is that going to be acceptable? Because it sounds like you're going to have a problem if you don't come in, you're not brought in as a starter, right? I mean, let's be honest here. If you're a backup, there's going to be an issue. If they put you out there on special teams, there's going to be an issue. Why you bring me here to put me on special teams, right? So to me, I would ask you guys, what makes it an acceptable offer for a team to bring Eric Reid in?
Yeah, this situation, I mean, look, we're not new to this in terms of what Kaepernick and Eric Reid are singing in terms of opportunity. This is the same song that Kaepernick was singing when he was saying, I'm not getting an opportunity, whether it was the NFL workout, whether it was the Seattle opportunity as a backup to Russell Wilson potentially, or even the Baltimore situation when Nessa sends out the tweet. Like, we've seen this before. So now for Eric Reid to attach himself to this, it seems like he wants to go down on the sword as well. He wants to go down in martyrdom as well. All these opportunities are not presented. Because I don't know what team is going to present Eric Reid an opportunity and say, you're our guaranteed bona fide starter. Remember in Washington, y'all, this year, I know they haven't won a ton of games, but their defense is ranked 4th. And their pass defense is 1st ranked. And so in a situation like that, they have guys, and even when the starters go down like they did, they have other guys that they believe in because they actually have a program that is successful on that side of the ball. So, like anything, man, if you want to play, you just need an opportunity to display that you want to play. But when you get caught up in anything else, we're now going to question, do you really want the opportunity? Because it's not going to come exactly like you want it because you don't have that leverage. He knows that, but now he wants to play it differently so he can become the victim or become sympathetic. Not working over here, but good luck to you, E. Reid. Coming up, Antonio Brown is back in the NFL. We'll tell you if AB's return will work out in Tampa. Nuts, speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about Antonio Brown. He's officially back in the NFL. AB signed a 1-year deal with the Bucs, which reunites him with Tom Brady, the same quarterback who was part of Brown's last game in the league over a year ago with the Patriots. AB can start practicing next week and be eligible to play against the Saints, which is a good thing for Tampa since Chris Godwin is dealing with a finger injury. Lamar Jackson is back with us. Big bro Marcellus, you up first. Are you convinced AB will work out with the Bucs?
1,000% convinced that this is going to work out. I know he's coming in, at least they're trying to label it as an insurance policy because of injuries, but this is going to be one of those insurance policies you can live off of in terms of that production, what AB is going to bring to the fold. Of course he's going to ball out. The one thing you're guaranteed about AB is that he's going to ball out. Now, some people say you're also guaranteed he's going to act out. And I'm not so certain of that because of the dynamic in this locker room. Remember, this is a situation that Bruce Arians went on record and said, no AB. I coached him before, and he's not coming to this locker room anytime soon. But he was playing the bad cop in this situation, kind of threw us off his scent. But then there's a good cop in this situation. That's Tom Brady. He was like, look, I only know him for so long as a teammate, but I will vouch for him, and I will support him, and I will encourage him, and hopefully keep him in line as much as you can as another person, but being a teammate and leader of this team. So look at that dynamic. Good cop, bad cop. I bet every single player on this team is like, hell yeah, bring in AB. He's a bona fide baller. But now, when AB walks in that locker room, it's going to be interesting because he knows he has a short leash. He knows that he has to walk a tightrope in terms of his behavior because everyone around him is going to be looking at him like, yes, AB, I support you, good cop, except Bruce Arians already planted that seed. You do something, and I already know you, big dog. You do anything, and you're out of here as our insurance policy. So AB, going to give him the best behavior and production.
Marcellus, I rock with some of your take, but whenever somebody says 1,000%, I don't know if I can trust them.
Oh, okay,
so,
real talk?
I don't know. Hey, if you say real talk, I probably won't trust you. I can't trust you on this. I am not convinced AB will work out, but AB won't ruin them. Right? I'm not convinced that AB is going to go out there and just have complete success and have no issues at all whatsoever. But even if he doesn't, I don't think it will be to the detriment of the Bucs. Because like you just said, AB got a short lease. You got issues, you up out of there. Peace. What I'm reminded of, though, Marcellus, is now AB is back under a microscope. Pressure burst pipes. You feel me?
I'm with that.
Remember, AB, he had a whole bunch of self-inflicted wounds. Goes to the Raiders, I want to be released. The frostbite on the foot, the helmet issues. He was going to be dealt to the Bills. I don't want to play for the Bills. But then when he signs with the Patriots, now allegations start to rise. After he plays his first game with the Patriots, the allegations come out. And then the SI article. When AB is now about to be back with the Bucs, Marcellus. I'm wondering, is anything going to come up now? I think AB can be clean from this point going forward as far as off the field, no issues being clean. The question is, what about the issues of yesterday and yesteryear? Has he handled all of those? That's really my issue at hand. I trusted AB, who hasn't been talked about the last 3 or 4 months. I think that'll work out with the Bucs. The question is, will he make sure that everything from the past is under wraps? Because if not, him and the Bucs gonna have issues all over again.
But I think that works to AB's advantage in making this work out. I believe it's going to work out exactly for the reasons that you're actually stating, Ach. And the reason being is, if those things were to come up, and you guys forgot to mention that there's a familiarity between Leftwich and Antonio as well. So when you're talking about the level of knowledge of who he is in that locker room and in that organization, and your biggest advocate is Tom Brady, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. And that's why he's getting this opportunity to begin with, right? So when you look at those things that are still pending in front of him, it's all about an act of goodwill. When that microscope is on him, the microscope is on him really more so for character than it is his ability to play. So we're not really looking at AB. If AB goes out there and he underperforms when he gets back out there, people may say, oh, he doesn't look like the AB of old. But that's okay, because nobody's going to be offended by him not being the AB that was in Pittsburgh. They're going to be offended by if he's flagrant when he's doing interviews. They're going to be offended by his actions and what it is that he may or may not do off the field. So I feel like as long as he keeps himself in line with being a good teammate and being a great employee for this organization, even if those things were to come down the pipe and hit him and something were to get him suspended again, I still think it works out in the end. And I still think that outside of something crazy, him being incarcerated and not being able to play at all, I still think that he comes out being on this team and being a part of the solution going forward for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, he's definitely going to produce. That's why I say 1,000%. Let's not forget who AB was. 6 straight years, 100-plus catches, over 1,200 yards every single year. Goodness. And AB still, since 2014, has the most touchdown catches over Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins, and Mike Evans, his teammate, despite only playing 1 game last year. Goodness. AB, who walks on a team and onto a roster where he can't get double teamed. He put up those numbers with double teams. You're going to double team him and leave Mike Evans single covered? You're going to leave Chris Godwin single covered? You're going to leave Rob Gronkowski out there just to roam through the acreage? This is a situation where I know he's going to produce. Now let's talk about how is he going to handle all his issues from the past and whatever is going on in his personal life. The greatest attribute, I would say, from all professional athletes that I've encountered is the ability to compartmentalize. Even AB, in terms of production, the 1 game in New England or whatever he was going through in Pittsburgh all those years that was being suppressed or not noticed, AB still put out game film, positive game film, the best game film. And that's what I'm banking on right here. AB knows, hey, man, I don't think there's another opportunity out there for you, because look at this one. Look at the penalty of this one. 15 games last year. You can basically call that a pseudo suspension. And then this year, 8 games. So if you look at it in totality, after that, it seems like it will be a lifetime ban more so than just a couple more games or a year ban. So AB knows his foot's to the fire, and AB knows he's going to go out there and ball and has to stay in line.
For the Buccaneers, it's very simple. The risk-reward is finally worth it, and I get it. Chris Godwin, he's out, injured finger, your star-stud receiver.
Yeah.
Mike Evans, he's been battling different issues, different lower extremity issues all season long. Bruce Arians knows he's getting up there in age, but more importantly, Tom Brady is getting up there in age. They got to go all in. Look around the league. It's other teams that are going to give them a fight. It's other teams that have a lot of firepower. I think Bruce Arians with the Buccaneers has finally counted the cost, and he said, okay, you know what? AB might run us some issues. But the fact of the matter is, Tom Brady has Scotty Miller, a 5'10 receiver from Bowling Green, if I am not mistaken, leading that team in catches. He has Scotty Miller, a dude who we had known about or were not talking about, leading that team in targets or second in targets. If that is what he has with Scotty Miller, imagine what he can do with AB. I think the risk-reward is finally at a break-even point to where it is a good decision by the Buccaneers. Will it work out, though? I'm still TBD.
Yeah, I think it's, again, I feel as though it's a no-brainer to say that it's going to work out because he does not, as you said, Marcellus, he does not have any other options. He doesn't have any, as you love to say, he has no runway left, right? So it certainly has the potential to be an explosive addition in a positive manner. And listen, all the talk of Arians not wanting him, I think it goes back also to an earlier point that you made, Marcellus. This is a game of chess, not checkers. I'm not going to let everybody around the league know that I know Tom Brady wants him, even if all my receivers are healthy, right? So in the end, they were bringing Antonio Brown in one way or the other. Everybody's healthy, somebody's hurt. It's just more justifiable, right? It's easier to put it out there in the media. It's more acceptable, consumable, and you move on from it. But they were going to bring Antonio Brown in no matter what the situation was when they were able to bring him in. I think Bruce Arians understands what was at stake, who would go possibly try to throw a wrench in it, seeing that the team is actually starting to play up to the potential that maybe people were nervous that they would. So now you're not saying we want them and this is a no, we're not going to do it until you bring them in. I thought it was well played by Bruce Arians. I thought it was well played by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think they've all, keep in mind, they've had, I can guarantee you, they have had constant contact with AB. And this has been an ongoing process of onboarding him even before now. So they're already acclimated. He's already acclimated. He probably already knows the playbook. He's probably already been running the routes. He's going to get in. He's going to be fine.
Hey, tremendous point you made right there of Bruce Arians having that poker face and this entire offseason, not letting it out, not leaking, not letting others onto a scent. Because it's funny, Seattle was leaking this entire offseason, and what did that end up getting them? Nothing in this situation. Bruce Arians was smart if this is the case because he knew it was going to be difficult enough to bring in Tom Brady and others to get them all on the same page. Why bring in the media attention and the distraction of AB when you can't even play him till after week 8? Smart play if that's the case, Bruce Arians. Speaking of no runway, that's who AB is. This is why I'm 1,000% guaranteeing this is going to work out. He doesn't need a runway. He's not an airplane like, oh, I need a game or 2 or 3 or 4 to finally take off. He's a helicopter. Whoop, in the air, touchdowns are coming. Tampa Bay, woo, they got a squad. He gambled on a 43-year-old. Why not gamble on a 32-year-old who's a future Hall of Famer as well? Coming up in our big story, the Cowboys and Eagles are both in need of a win. We'll tell you which team has more to prove on Sunday next. Speak like it. We'll have to speak for yourself, presented by Hyundai. Marcellus Wiley up here with Emmanuel Acho. Sometimes I can accept defeat. I like that suit better.
I appreciate it,
I do like it better than mine. Yeah. All right, bland guacamole day. Let's head to the NFC East for our big story. The Cowboys and Eagles have a big matchup on Sunday night. Dallas is coming off a blowout loss to Washington, and Andy Dalton is dealing with a concussion. While in Philly, Carson Wentz led the Eagles to a comeback win over the Giants. Both teams have been disappointing. Only 2 wins apiece, but Philly is on top in the division. So, Acho, which team has more to prove Sunday? Cowboys or your Eagles?
My dog, I wish I was wearing the green because the Eagles got more to prove. Let me lend you the blue. Everybody knows I played for the Eagles, blah, blah, blah. So, But I always have to keep it 100 and honest with y'all. The viewer, y'all is family. The Eagles have more to prove because the Eagles are still playing for something. Let me keep it real with you, Marcellus. We already know. In Dallas, y'all know what time it is.
What time?
They know what time it is. It's imploding.
How many wins?
It's implosion time.
How many wins?
We've said this before. Don't talk to me about how many wins. You and I can wear the same suit, and I'm going to make it look better.
Shut your trap.
Okay? The Cowboys and Eagles can have the same amount of wins, but the Eagles right now are making it look better. That's all I'm going to say. Wow. What I'm also going to say is this. The jury is still out on the Eagles. What do I mean? They have a loss to the Steelers, the undefeated Steelers.
Oh.
They have a loss to the Ravens, the one-loss Ravens, and the Ravens only losses to the Chiefs. They have a loss to the Rams, the Rams who look like a top-5 team in the NFL. Outside of the Eagles' Week 1 loss, on TBD, they go on the road, beat the 49ers, one of the best head coaches in the NFL. Obviously, Jimmy G was out. And then they beat the Giants. It wasn't a pretty win, but it was a short week. I'm undecided, Marcellus, on the Eagles. Do y'all suck? Or are y'all just bad? Or are y'all like run of the mill? Are y'all like the 15th or 16th best team in the league? I think the jury is still out. To me, the Eagles are an enigma. They don't make it look pretty, but if we're keeping it 100, they lost to the Steelers. Everybody's lost to the Steelers. Everybody's lost to the Ravens, except the Chiefs. The teams that the Eagles have lost to outside of Week 1, Washington football team, everybody's lost to. So the Eagles have more pressure because if the Eagles lose to the Cowboys, Marcellus, they're not an enigma anymore. Like, they're just bad. I can sit here and try to defend them all I want. I can give you my biased Eagles takes. I can sit here and try to defend you.
We're here.
But if you lose to the Cowboys, I think the jury is decided. Right now, jury is still in deliberation.
Yeah.
Eagles, we don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Cowboys, the jury's out. Like, as much as I want the Cowboys to be great because it makes for better TV, the jury is decided. Cowboys, you all are bad. Y'all have told us you're bad. Jerry Jones has said there's beef. Your players are saying there's beef. Your defensive coordinators are saying y'all can't play high school cover 3. Cowboys, we know the decision. The Eagles, we're still trying to figure it out.
No, I disagree with you right there. And you talk about biased Eagles takes. It seems like you don't want to answer the question. Who has more to prove? It's the Dallas Cowboys because the sky is falling on them. They're coming off an epic loss. You have more to prove because you have more to gain in equity. And you could be in first place in this division despite all hell landed on your head this entire season. Think about it. The Philadelphia Eagles are coming off a win. People like you are starting to glow about them. Oh, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They're looking good. How do you have more to prove or more to gain in this situation versus a team that we're so hypercritical about that no matter what they do, we're going to try and find something ugly about it. And this year, we don't even have to look for it. It is appearing in broad daylight. Where's their quarterback? Where's their running back? At least a shell of themselves. Where's Zeke? Where's the offensive line on their 10th combination this year already? They have 11 guys on IR. Come on, where's the defense? You're NFL historically bad right now. Where's your backup quarterback? He got knocked out last week and the team didn't fight for him. I'm going to take this back to how I grew up. And when you're walking around the neighborhood, you know, the gangs, the drugs, the poverty wasn't the worst about it. Those weren't the worst elements. You know what it was? The low ambition. People aiming lower than they should just because they already been beat up by circumstances. And I remember saying to myself, bruh, you can't let the exterior defeat you on the inside. And I looked at my situation and said, it can't get much worse. I'm on food stamps. I'm on welfare. People always walking up to you with their low expectations of themselves, and they're projecting it on you. And I'm like, you know what? If it can't get any worse, I'm not scared to go out there and see how I can make it happen. This is the Dallas Cowboys this year. It can't get worse. And even if it does get worse, guess what? You're not scared of it anymore because you already felt the weight of the whole world on you.
Marcellus, I respect that. I respect that.
You better respect it because I got here that way.
I'm not mad at it, bro, but I'm going to say this. You've recently admitted to the world, and in your book, you said this before, you're not a fighter.
Nah, hell no. Eric Reid, chill. Not a fighter.
I'm not a fighter either, but I have a reason, a quote, a line in which I'm not a fighter. A coach once told me early on, he told me this quote, and he said, if I fight you and I win, what do I win? See, the reason I'm not a fighter is because if I fight you and I win, what do I win? I do things that make sense. And typically, fights more often than not, don't make sense. If the Cowboys play the Eagles and they win, what do they win? Okay, you beat a team who people are still like, oh, y'all aren't very good. The Cowboys, even if they play the Eagles and win, Marcellus, they prove nothing. It doesn't mean that they're going to be contenders. It doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden they're going to cure all of their gigantic losses. It doesn't mean that their defense is better. It doesn't mean that they now have leadership in the locker room. Even if the Cowboys go out there and win. Sure, I believe at that point in time they should be first place in the division, depending on what the Washington football team does.
Right.
But if they play the Eagles and they win, it's still almost like, what do they win? Eagles play the Cowboys and win. At a minimum, the debate is over. Like, Cowboys and Eagles. The Cowboys are just one game back or half a game back. That's over. Now you put that to bed. If you're the Eagles, you can put that debate to bed. The Cowboys are the third worst team in the division if the Eagles play them and win. If the Eagles also go out there and win, like the Eagles just have more on the line.
More on the line? Come on, Otto, you telling on yourself
I'm
right
not.
now.
Cowboys
You really
got
are.
nothing to play for.
Look at, yes, they do. They can win the division. And if you win the division, you're in the playoffs.
They can by happenstance only.
No, hold on, but that's all that matters, man. I'm going to take you back to my
Take me
neighborhood,
back, bro.
homeboy.
Take me back.
Hey, before anything, let's survive and then thrive. You over here speaking from a luxurious experience, it sounds like, where it's like, And what I tell you about luxury, it's the house of complaints. Because when you don't need it, when you don't feel that, what the Cowboys are feeling, that desperation, you sit there and say, well, why even try? Because even if we try and win the division, what are we going to end up doing? That is happening between your ears, and that's never happened in between my ears. Don't mistake that when I say I'm not a fighter, because I don't use these two hands, that I don't use what's between these two ears. This is what I fight with, big dog. I will manipulate you with my words and then my feet, because I'm running. I'm out. That's how I fight. I fight with between here, and I fight with those two dogs taking off. But the Cowboys are in a situation where it's raining, it's pouring.
Yeah.
And guess what? If that hasn't drowned us just yet, then why not? Why not us? It sounds like the boxing corner man who's like, hey, man, you took his best punch. Now let's go out there. Sometimes you have to get into battle, take the best punches from the universe and the collective teams. And if you're still standing, let's go to war.
Marcellus, you are the reason that I drive down the highways in Texas and you look up at the billboards and you see Mega Million now up to $950 million for the lotto. Because, Marcellus, you continue to say, well, yeah, I might be able to win. Sure, if I buy a lotto ticket, there's a chance that I can win. There's a chance. Are the likelihoods possible? No, there's just a chance.
No.
And that's my point is all Cowboys fans have come with this reality because I've had to come with this reality. And I'm not a Cowboys fan per se, but I have affinity towards the Cowboys. I've come to this reality, which is there's no saving the season right now. Of course, your starting quarterback is currently your backup quarterback, and he's currently hurt. Your offensive line is in shambles. Your head coach, they don't respect him. Your defensive coordinator shouldn't be in the NFL. Your owner is now calling everybody else out and saying, I'm not the one to blame. Your players in the locker room are snitching. The Cowboys fans at this point, they realize, like, this season is kind of a wash. Play for pride if you will, but you really ain't playing for nothing besides that.
Yeah, okay. If I want to buy into what you're selling right now, let me say this. There's a difference between a season and a program, a winning culture that you're trying to build with a new head coach and Mike McCarthy. Let's just say this is a losing season. I disagree with it, but let's just say that to have some fun. I told you before, Pittsburgh was 2-4 last year. Tampa was 2-4 last year. And Pittsburgh lost his quarterback, and Tampa changes his quarterback this year. And all of a sudden, they find themselves as Super Bowl contenders. So if you're the Dallas Cowboys, don't jump ship. Fight through this because you can start to establish a winning culture. Just in 1 year time, we've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers go from rags to riches.
Both got Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Hey, look, Dak Prescott, I'm not going to Hall of Fame. I'm saying Dak Prescott was balling at historical numbers pace. Just have some perseverance through this season, and maybe it will blossom next season. Coming up, Trevor Lawrence is leaving the door open on staying in school. We'll tell you what this means for the Jets. J-E-T-S, next. Speak for yourself, presented by Hyundai.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's move on to Trevor Lawrence. He's a consensus choice to be the #1 pick in next year's NFL draft. Well, hold up on that, because yesterday Lawrence left the door open on returning to Clemson for his senior year, saying, quote, my mindset has been that I'm going to move on, but who knows? That decision means a lot to the Jets, who are currently the only team in the league without a win, and they're on track to have that coveted #1 pick. LeVar Arrington's back with us, but Marcellus.
You all right? You had a little spit stroke. You all right? Slow.
Breathe, Nacho. Breathe. Marcellus, talk to me. If the Jets land the #1 pick and Lawrence does enter the draft, should the Jets draft Trevor Lawrence, or should they trade that coveted top pick?
Yeah, they need to trade that pick, man. I'm not even coming out here hot take central. I'm just telling y'all. One, get rid of your coach, and that would help. But two, Sam Darnold, I like Sam Darnold enough to keep him in this situation. Look, in the NFL, you don't need a savior. You need a stabilizer. So let's compare where Sam Darnold is right now in his young career to the GOAT in terms of Tom Brady. Let me give you something that blew my mind. Even though I played against young Tom Brady, I knew he was good to on the verge of being great. He wasn't amazing, guys. Let's look at Tom Brady when he was a three-time champion. Already, this is his first 3 seasons versus Sam Darnold's. Okay, completion percentage around the same, even though Sam get it above the Mendoza line. But still, passing yards per attempt, Sam Darnold got Tom Brady right there. Passer rating in the same neighborhood, but certainly less. Passing touchdowns per game, pretty much there with Tom Brady. And passing yards per game, he actually beats Tom Brady. So why do I bring up the GOAT and then bring up Sam Darnold? Let's talk about that. Tom Brady was a 3-time champion who never threw over 28 touchdowns and never had a rating over 92. Emmanuel Acho.
Do
you know what a 92 rating right now will put you in the NFL today? 24th ranked, right under Phillip Rivers. But Tom Brady had 1, 2, 3 Super Bowls because they dressed up the team around him. They had a defense. They had special teams. And they didn't have a savior. They had a stabilizer when you talk about Tom Brady. So let's talk about what they need to do in New York. Because in New York, it's funny, Sam Darnold is 1-8 in games where they give up 26 points or more. But he's 6-3 in games when you give 25 points or fewer. Man, hold on. All we need to do is give Sam Darnold the adequate pieces around him and stop trading top talent, and maybe you can see Sam Darnold go out there and blossom. I think that's the better roll of the dice than going after Trevor Lawrence.
No way. No way. Listen, you take the pick and you take the best player in the draft with that pick. And that's Trevor Lawrence, hands down. It may be debatable. Justin Fields may make a serious case, but we're focusing in on Lawrence right now. The bottom line is I think this is more of a debate based upon if Trevor Lawrence will leverage how big his brand is and how beloved he is to not want to go to the Jets with this pick. And that would be the catalyst of why the Jets would want to trade the pick. But we all know that the draft is based and geared upon the control of improving teams by having the decision or having the power to decide who they want to bring into their team and into their organization. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, I don't want to go to the Jets. If I'm the New York Jets, I want to get Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent that could possibly transform your team. If he doesn't want to come there, then you cross the bridge once you get there, but you do not allow him saying he may stay for his senior year to dictate to you what you do with that first pick.
Man, I disagree with you, LeVar. Yeah. I got to rock with Big Bro Cell on this one. Here is why. I think the easier, the lazier narrative, the lazier take is, well, obviously you draft Trevor Lawrence, generational talent. You are not wrong. Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. But the problem we have in society and in football is we are always intrigued by mystery. We laud picks because for whatever reason, that next pick might be the next Gale Sayers. It might be the next Tom Brady. What if it's the next bust? Not saying that's what Trevor Lawrence is going to be, but there's a reason why on The Price is Right, they always pick what's behind door number 1 instead of taking the car that's right in front of them because we're intrigued by ambiguity. Here's my problem, LeVar. Let's put it in real-world experience. Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was phenomenal, but he went to a dysfunctional organization at the time as far as talent. Andrew Luck, in his 7-year career, what did he have to show for it? He had to show for it 1 AFC championship, and he had to show for it, 4 Pro Bowls in his 7-year career. That's still phenomenal, but let's talk about the other phenom pick, which was Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin, the Rams traded and received 3 first-round picks from Washington for Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin, I believe he was Rookie of the Year that first year, beating out, I think, the likes of Andrew Luck, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Robert Griffin, they went to the playoffs early on in his career. But by 2017, Robert Griffin was out of football. By 2018, that same Rams team was in the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not going to say Trevor Lawrence is Robert Griffin. It's hard to truly evaluate college players. You never know the differences in their mind and their physicality, how it's going to translate to the NFL game. What I am going to say is this. The allure of that first-round pick and, oh, my gosh, what Trevor Lawrence can be will get the Jets probably more pieces than what Trevor Lawrence, without help, will be able to do for the Jets. That's why I really think if you take time and pause and reflect, trading that pick and getting what you can is a better decision.
Yeah, but again, I think that's 100% of the time how we view top draft pick is that they're going to be that game changer for your team. To address what you guys are saying, you use Tom Brady as an example for his first 3 years playing or first three, active years of playing. It's not comparable. The franchise in Foxborough was already stabilized. Drew Bledsoe was the starting quarterback of that team. That was a stable team. They were actually a competitive team while Drew Bledsoe was the starting quarterback. Tom Brady had no pressure on him whatsoever coming in and doing those numbers that he was able to get because of how late he was drafted in my draft. So when you compare the two of them, Trevor Lawrence isn't walking into a situation like Tom Brady where he gets to learn and he gets the benefit of being around not only leadership on the offensive side of the ball, but he had a whole lot of leadership on the defensive side, probably more so on the defensive side of the ball and understanding what they're trying to do to him over there. Trevor Lawrence is walking into a turbulent situation if he goes to the New York Jets. This is not a stabilized organization. Sam Darnold is suffering due to the fact that the organization is not in a position to be a successful organization right now. And I think that is the biggest determining factor of all of the conversations that are going to surround what Trevor Lawrence can do. Robert Griffin III did an excellent job of lifting an organization that is comparable in the sense of not being functional at a high level, but we saw how long that lasted, right? So we look at Andrew Luck, same thing. So to me, I think that's, obviously we know that Trevor Lawrence is walking into a very, very difficult situation. But if I'm the New York Jets, I still got to play my hand and take him with that number one pick, even if that means trading him away to get more out of it.
Here's where I'm at, though, L.A., because I like a lot of what you said, but here's my conclusion. It's very simple. A quarterback, great as he may be, cannot overcome the rest of the team if the rest of the team doesn't give him help. What do I mean? Joe Burrow has been balling. He threw for 400 yards last week alone. They still lost to the Browns. Balling as he may be, and the Browns are playing well, no slight to them, but he threw for 400 yards. Let's talk about Justin Herbert. He has been balling. People are comparing Justin Herbert to Trevor Lawrence, a little bit more athletic, but not as good as an arm. He's playing as great as a rookie quarterback can play. He got one win on his own. I think the Chargers have two. Joe Burrow, I think the Bengals only have 2 wins, if I'm not mistaken. They may just have one, but I think it's 2. What my point is very simple. A rookie quarterback, as phenomenal as they may be, they still need some help to get the job done. Even if the Jets get Trevor Lawrence, that's not going to solve the rest of their issues, whereas the rest of those picks they could get for Trevor Lawrence might solve the issues.
Yeah, man, this whole conversation about he's going to be the top pick and he's an insane talent and a can't-miss prospect. Yes. But franchise changers as the number 1 overall pick for every, Aikman, Elway, Marino you talk about, there's also the Sam Bradfords, the Jamarcus Russells, the Tim Couches. Did Matthew Stafford save the Lions? So in that situation, it's a roll of the dice that, to me, I don't want to get back on the carousel of quarterbacks. I'd rather have a stabilizer at quarterback and someone we can grow with, but dress him up appropriately like Tom Brady was dressed up in that situation. You keep talking about the franchise, that the Patriots were different than the Jets. Yeah, because they were in the Super Bowl 4 or 5 years before Tom Brady got there, and they had a $100 million quarterback and Drew Bledsoe. But I think the demise of the Jets is a little exaggerated. Maybe it's because they're in New York City, and we're hypercritical of them because they're in New York City. In the last 10 years, the Jets have had...
because they stink.
The last 10 years, the Jets have had 11-win season, a 10-win season, couple 8-8s, and a 7-win season. So half of them are either above 500 or right at it. So the other half are bad. But the point is, if you are this can't-miss prospect, then you shouldn't be running from that. That's my last point. He ain't staying, y'all. He lying. Let me tell you, when I was on campus, lowly Marcellus Wiley, defensive end from an Ivy League school. Guess what? I had agents coming at me left and right, and that was just me. Now, I didn't sign with one, but they give you some advice. And you know what they're giving him advice to? I'm not saying individual agents, not saying he's doing anything wrong, but somebody's giving him advice to create leverage, just to create
just like
options. In life, you want options. And then once you have the options, you can sit there and dictate terms. All Trevor Lawrence doing is right now is making sure he has wider bandwidth to control what he wants to control, which is the future that he's played so well to attain. Coming up, the Dodgers are World Series champs for the first time since 1988. Nick Swisher joins us to break it all down. Next, speak for yourself.
World Series. Here's a play at the plate. Throw home too late. Dodgers lead. Here's the 0-2 to Betts. High fly ball left center. Back at the wall. It is gone. Mookie with a blast into left center field.
Wherever you are, remember this moment.
That's strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Finally, the wait is over. The Dodgers are the champions of 2020 in a year like no other.
Over the last 32 years, the Dodgers have knocked at the door. This year, they kicked it in.
This is our year. This is our year.
LA is officially the city of champions after the Dodgers ended their 32-year title drought, joining the Lakers as champions. Joining us now is former World Series champ Nick Swisher.
What's up, fellas?
My dog. Man, we are living in a good place, in a good space. Lala is on top again. But before we get to the Dodgers, Swish, have to ask about the decision that will haunt Tampa Bay fans for a lifetime. Rays manager Kevin Cash pulling Blake Snell up 1-0 in the 6th inning after giving up just 2 hits. A-Rod called it the worst decision he's ever seen in a World Series. Help us understand why Kevin Cash made the move.
I wish I could, guys. I can't. I have no idea why it happened. I feel like we were watching the game just like everybody was, and I thought there was more of a chance of Mookie Betts being pinch hit for than Blake Snell coming out of that game. Right? I mean, just the way he was dominant, right? Mookie Betts has had a much better season against right-handed pitchers than he has left-handed. The top 3 guys in the lineup were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts. Blake Snell was absolutely cruising, pitching one of the greatest games in World Series history. And he got yanked. I think that just goes to show you analytics took a little too much in that game. I think as a manager, you have to have a good feel for what's going on with your guys as well as the numbers. But last night, Blake Snell, baby, he stays in for me, no doubt about it.
Okay, so the world is prosecuting Kevin Cash right now, as they should. But I'm going to employ you to be his attorney and defend his decision. Please try.
Come on, man.
There's got to be something. He was thinking something, Swizzy. He was thinking something. No?
You know what? I heard his interview after the game, and I understood his backing, right? Obviously, the 3rd time through the lineup, Blake Snell struggles big time, right? But they've always kept the cuffs on this guy, right? They haven't taken him off. Let him go. Let him run. He's a stallion. Let him get it, right? He's a Cy Young Award winner. And all of a sudden, you're going to pull him from the game and rob us all from the greatest 2 words you could say in sports, a Game 7? Oh, come on, Cash. Come on, man.
Hey, I feel you, Swizzy. Well, you talked about Mookie Betts, and there's no star brighter in baseball right now. Mookie won his 2nd World Series ring and his 1st in Dodger blue. So tell me, Swizzy, is it possible that Mookie Betts already earned his $365 million deal in just one season?
$365 million. That sure doesn't sound good, does it? I think Mookie Betts is one of those guys that he is a once-in-a-generation talent. And not only that, just for the human being that he is, the leader he is in the locker room, the things that he can do on the field, probably one of the most athletic guys we have to offer in our game. So to see him come over and be the piece that puts the Dodgers over the top to get them to finally hoist that trophy. Like you said, Marcellus, 32 years it's been. I'm telling you what, man, I could not be more proud of the Dodgers. Mookie Betts, in my mind, has earned his money already and some just because of this. What this means to the fans, what this means to the organization. This is amazing. And Mookie Betts is loving himself some L.A., and I'm loving it. LeBron, we got Mookie. Baby, we doing things out in L.A. these days.
Oh, man, I love it, man. Let's talk about a future first ballot Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw. My neighbor, but he lived on the rich side of the street, like way down the block, way on top of that hill, too. But he erased some of his postseason demons and finally got the World Series monkey off his back. What does a World Series ring now do for Kershaw's legacy?
I think that solidifies him as a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? I thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer before the World Series, but now it's almost like it was a rite of passage, and someone with 3 Cy Youngs and no World Series for some reason wasn't good enough to get into the Hall. Clayton Kershaw is a tremendous human being, a tremendous pitcher, and you got to remember for how long he's been doing this for. He's the face of the franchise over there in Dodger Blue. And for him to finally be on top of the mountain, I think my biggest thing was watching him with his children after the game. And just the overall joy that was inside a grown man absolutely makes me so happy. So for him to finally achieve the ultimate goal of being a champion, nobody can ever take that away from him.
Well, nobody can take it away from Dave Roberts either. Swizzy came into the season one of the most scrutinized managers in baseball, despite winning 2 pennants and 8 straight division titles. How good does this World Series feel for him? And is he finally off the hot seat?
I think it's almost impossible to put somebody that had that much success on the hot seat. But no, his butt is ice cold. He is good. The only thing that's hot on him is when he's probably in the Bahamas for a nice little vacay after winning the World Series. Dave Roberts is a tremendous leader and a tremendous leader in our game. We need more men like him, and for him to also achieve that final mark of being called a champion. Remember, he won back in 2004 with the Boston Red Sox, but to see him get this World Series, 3 times in 4 years they had the opportunity to compete, and they finally came through. 3rd time's a charm. Baby, LA is on fire right now. Dodger Blue is loving it. What an unbelievable end of the season, man. I'm telling you, baseball is fun, just like Brett Phillips said after Game 4.
Yeah. All right, Swisher. Chill out now. Don't say LA's on fire. You know, people could take that the wrong way. Stay on fire, too.
We're doing it, right?
No, we are doing it, man. As you just mentioned, Acho mentioned it, 8 straight division titles, 3 pennants in 4 years, and now a World Series title. What's going to stop the Dodgers from being baseball's next dynasty?
One thing, money, right? I just don't think you have enough of it, right? Think of the guys that they have coming up in free agency. Corey Seager's a free agent this year. Cody Bellinger's in a couple years. And both of those guys are represented by Scott Boras. And if you know anything about Scott Boras, he takes his guys to free agency. And most times, the top dollar usually wins. I'm just nervous. The only thing you could tear a dynasty like this down is money and the ability to go other places for more money. Sometimes you have to do that. I understand it. But in my mind, that's the only thing that's going to slow this franchise down is not having enough money because you have too many good players.
Well, they got their rings at least. Now it's time to go get those shiny
and you know
things.
that thing's going to be big. It's going to be like this big.
Big time. Jason the Beverly Hills style. Thanks, Swizzy, man. Enjoy your off-season, brother.
Oh, man, so good seeing you guys, man. Thank you so much for having me on, man. Keep doing y'all's thing.
Of course, bro.
Appreciate it, baby. Give me all that energy from Swizzy. I love that. Coming up, the undefeated Steelers have a huge matchup against their rivals in Baltimore Sunday. We'll tell you which AFC North team is actually better. Next, speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head to the AFC North, where the Steelers will face their rivals in Baltimore on Sunday. Something has to give with these teams. The Ravens are 5-1 and lead the league in rushing yards. But on the other hand, the Steelers have the #1 total defense in the NFL. And they're the only undefeated team left in the league. So, Marcellus, let's try to split hairs here.
Oh, really?
Who's the best team in the AFC North?
Good luck.
I'm going to try to split hairs.
Let's do it.
Who's the best team in the AFC North? Steelers or the Ravens?
The Ravens. The Ravens are the better team right now. Look, the Steelers are on a different path right now, and kudos to them for certainly making us believers in them so fast in this season. The Steelers trying to prove that they're really contenders. While the Ravens, they already proved that. They're trying to win it all. So their sights are set on a different course than the Steelers. That said, this is going to be one of those games, man. The war of attrition games. Think about it. Just these two physical teams matching each other, and we're talking about two teams combined only one loss. But more than that, it's a war of attrition when you talk about the Steelers. This is their third straight tough game. Think about it. Cleveland, only 2 losses. Tennessee, and now the Ravens. So if you look at it from those terms, despite the Pittsburgh Steelers having a better record, they're not the more talented team. They don't have an MVP candidate on their team. It's crazy that everyone's talking about Lamar Jackson not balling out this year. Still on MVP pace by the numbers. And even our own Fox Bet has them 5th in MVP odds. So they're led by greater talent that a team that knows how to win these type of games, but is still trying to figure out how to win in the postseason. So Pittsburgh, prove you're a contender. Ravens going out there and proving they're going to be champions.
Okay, first of all, Marcellus, this is the Steelers' 4th tough game in a row. They played the Eagles before playing them. Okay? Put some respect on that name. No, in all seriousness, it's tough to split this one. I think that the Ravens are incredibly legit. I think the Steelers are legit, but I think the Steelers are better. If we're splitting hairs, here's how I deduce it. The Steelers have beat a better, if not the better teams. When I look at the Ravens, who have they beat? Beat the Browns, the Texans, Washington, the Bengals, the Eagles. Who the Steelers beat? They beat the Eagles. They beat the Browns. They beat the Texans. But the Steelers also beat the Titans. I wasn't convinced about the Steelers, I'll be honest. First 3 weeks of the season, I'm like, Steelers, y'all ain't beat nobody. Right. They had just run through the Giants, the Broncos, the Texans. Texans didn't even really have a coach. Coach was in the midst of getting fired at the time. I was like, Steelers, y'all ain't shown me nothing. But in the NFL, it's not just how you win. We've talked about that a lot. It's also who you beat. And the Steelers, when they beat the Titans, to me, the Titans are legit. The Titans are just as legit as the Ravens, if you're going to make that argument, because based on last year. Based on last year in the playoffs.
14 wins.
Based on last year in the playoffs and who succeeded and who went further.
Okay.
Went further.
You can say that. Like, look, they had a better postseason run, but the law of averages of those two teams playing each other. Lamar Jackson lost that game, had 508 total yards. Mark Ingram was compromised. That was a weird game. They got behind. I just think that will play out differently going forward. And that's the thing about the Ravens. They're looking forward, even though they got to handle business right now. Where the Steelers, like you even said, they're trying to prove something right now, as they should. I believe in the Steelers. This is not a take to bash the Steelers. This is a take to point out that the Ravens are still a tier better. Number one in point differential, those Baltimore Ravens. When they have to turn it all on, they will turn it all on. But right now, they realize turning it all on last year and winning 14 games in the regular season, what did that get us? What did that say?
Here's my thing, big bro. I think the Steelers are more equipped to come from behind, and they're just as equipped to play from in front. They're more equipped to come from behind, and I think they're just as equipped to play from in front. Coming from behind, I like Big Ben when he's behind, because I like Big Ben. Pause. I like Big Ben. I like Big Ben when he's trailing.
You like Big Ben, first of all.
Trailing. When he's trailing. I like when he's trailing because he actually has a better pass offense, in my opinion. Oh, you got the three receivers. I hate you. Can we do television?
You did this.
Can we do television? I forgot my point.
Okay,
you go.
I will go. I will save you right now. You keep talking about Big Ben trailing or Big Ben having a lead. Hey, if the Tennessee makes a kick last week, Big Ben gave up the goodies, right? And then Big Ben got saved by the kicker missing the kick to take that into overtime. So I don't know what you're trying to say about Big Ben with a lead.
I don't know what I'm trying to say either, but let me get back. Let me get to where I was.
To say that that's a good formula to come from behind. Go Steelers.
Here's what I will say.
Okay, good.
Roethlisberger threw 3 interceptions last week. Yes. They still won the football game. Yeah, they did not play near perfect, and they still beat a undefeated Tennessee Titans team. What that tells me, the Steelers don't have to play their best ball game, and they can still beat a top 3 team, a top 4 team in the AFC when they're playing not their worst, but 3 turnovers on offense when you don't create any. That's pretty bad. So the fact that the Steelers can roll out there, not be perfect, and still be the undefeated team bodes well for the Steelers. Ravens are great. Again, that's why I said we're splitting hairs. It's great. But I just think if you got to make me pick one right now, give me the Steelers.
So I'd rather ride with a team that almost lost the game, almost gave it up with 3 interceptions by their quarterback, versus the team that has the #1 point differential. And none of these games are really close except the Kansas City game. And Kansas City is going to beat down a lot of teams
Marcellus,
out there.
almost is the biggest oxymoron in mankind.
I give you some of that.
And most.
I give you some of that, but I still take the Ravens in this. Another guarantee, another bet. Coming up, Uncle Jimmy will join us. Now, here he's coming to the defense of one of us. It's going to be interesting, especially if you heard that last take by Acho. Next, speak for yourself. I love this show. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. Please, Uncle. I hear you're going to actually defend somebody. Maybe come to my defense. The floor is yours. Let's hear it.
Acho. Hey, man. When I told you yesterday to clap back at this dude, I didn't know you was going to do it like this, man. Okay, I didn't know you was just going to come out here dropping C4 and napalm all over. You need to be ashamed of yourself, man. Okay? You need to pick on somebody your own size. You know Marcellus Wiley ain't right. I told you from day one that when you started, I said that the man was a few French fries shy of a Happy Meal. And every day of his life, he done came out here and tried to prove me right. This man even tells you what he say. He talks about the fact he bragged that he rode the Cheeto bus. Hey, man, you came out here and told this dude today that when you first met him, that not only did he look like he rode the Cheeto bus, you told him he looked like he ate the Cheeto bus.
No question, huh? He was sloppy, huh?
This dude suffers from low self-esteem.